Hi, everybody. I'm Louise here again with First Lady of Nutrition podcast. And today we'll talk about the cures are in your cupboard with none other than Dr. Cass Ingram, who happens to be a personal friend and one of the most respected physicians in the field of natural medicine. So good day to you, Dr. Ingram.
Hey. It's good to be back. How you been?
Good to be back. Well, I need you because you were the best DO that I've ever seen. Quite frankly,
We got to get a treatment on board for you. And next time we see you, just sort of that whole axial skeleton, put you in a nice mode.
but now you're going to put us in even a better mode because we've got some issues now with the immune system.
Yes.
What have you discovered in terms of the cures are in your cupboard? Talk a little bit about oregano oil.
The best I've ever done is that wild oregano from the mountains on the rocks, whether it's the crude herb, because that's available in a capsule with another component called Rus coriaria, or the oil. That famous one is the oil of oregano, isn't it? And then there's also the juice essence, which is the hydrosol. So, and I must tell you that the oregano is the king for antiviral, antifungal, antibacterial, anti-parasitic. So it's the go-to in the cupboard right now.
So how do we use it? So give me the differences in terms of use. And the other thing I want to clarify, I had heard that there was some research that showed that oil of oregano was very positive against certain kinds of coronavirus. Is that true?
Right, that's my research. What I did was, first of all, I used the oil of wild oregano super strength. I actually used the P73, it was pretty famous. And we opened the bottle up just off the shelf, dumped it in the culture medium. We had cultured these coronaviruses, influenza A and the bird flu. Bird flu is 60% fatal. So we just used like 1% of the oregano. And in the case of the coronavirus, it was less than that. And it destroyed all traces of all three pathogens. It took 25 times, though. We had to do a 25% solution for the bird flu. It still worked, though. But that's good that you could have something serious. You're traveling and you had the oregano with you. And, oh yeah, there's research showing it kills. The other thing that we did was there's something on the market called Oregarest. No, we're not going to make any claims and all that, but we used that product, used that by opening the capsules, putting it in the culture medium with the influenza A, with the coronavirus, and it basically killed 99.9999% in 2 minutes, and by 20 minutes, in some cases, it wiped out everything.
Wow.
One dose, by the way. Imagine if somebody read about that, and they, just for whatever, their immune system, and they took a dose 3 times a day. What's the big deal? I mean, or for, QID. They'd get a huge result. And I must tell you, I've done a human clinical trial on the current raging pandemic. We won't get into too many names and that, but this is with a nurses study. We took 18 people. Some tested positive, some were exposed. They're nurses and physical therapists. They're gonna, get sick. Some of them even die. And so they took this wild oregano in a spray form and they sprayed it. It's got clove and I think bay leaf in it. They sprayed the back of their throat. They didn't like the taste of the oil. So she gave them a hydrosol of oregano and she gave them oregano cream. There's an actual cream with balsam and honey, and they slathered it all over their bodies. They sprayed their whole bodies down. These are nurses and physical therapists. They got out of it without double pneumonia or crisis. The world should know.
The world should know. So this is a very positive. Would you say preventative as well against any kind of respiratory illness?
Huge. You don't know when the next pandemic, epidemic, or plandemic, whatever, comes around.
This is true.
So you could take the oregano, the wild one, because the wild is on the rocks and is edible, and you could take 5 drops a day.
So that would be a preventative, Dr. Ingram. That would be a preventative for people.
That's what the preventive is, or 1 gel cap. And then you've got the spray. You want to try to find the spray that we researched was bay leaf, clove bud oil, oregano, like an orega spray. And the people are preventively, you can dilute it 10 to 1 and it's still active. They're spraying it in their homes and cars and on their hands. And also that's what we used in this clinical trial. So some of the people, I have the little questionnaires here. some of the people testified on the questionnaires, one immediate improvement in the raspy throat and sore throat and dry cough.
Mm.
Now, you know, oregano in a 1% concentration kills everything.
I mean, I didn't know that, but now the whole world is going to know that.
Well, yeah, and Cavell, you know, Madame Cavell at the Pasteur Institute, she took sewage water. Well, she made the water septic by inoculating with beef broth. She had all this sepsis. She then added in, she took 20 essential oils. She added in 1 in 1,000. So you imagine, out of the dropper bottle, 2 or 3 drops in 1,000 drops or something like that, but 1 in 1,000. And she sterilized the sewage water, which goes along with our recent study, which we did at a major lab, where even a tiny dilution of these products, 100 dilution, in other words, you drop it down 100-fold, and it still killed all the germs. That was the Candida, the E. coli that we were testing in this case.
So I have a question that I have to just jump in here and ask you the question. So if this is killing all these pathogens, can it also kill beneficial bacteria? And do you have to take a probiotic when you take any of these types of oregano?
If you get the wild oregano from the mountains, they've tested this and found that you can put it in yogurt, and the lactobacillus count in the yogurt goes up.
Wow.
It's one of these weird sort of things that's got to be like a God thing. We can't fathom it. We can't study it. We can't configure it. Where it's been made to be a cohort to the, like spices. We eat them, right? So the bacteria or the probiotics are a cohort to garlic, to onion. You can, if you take too much, if you eat 10 cloves of garlic, temporarily you'll kill stuff. But the probiotics then come back and flourish.
Mm.
If you eat onions, maybe you press down some probiotics, but then the probiotics feed on the onion residue. You're right?
Right.
It becomes a prebiotic. So with the oregano does this. The oregano makes the intestinal villus membrane healthier. It increases the immunoglobulins. It cleans the Peyer's patches. It somehow.
Wow, Peyer's patches. Would you describe to my listening audience what the Peyer's patches
Well,
are?
you know, that's the sentinels, aren't they? They're little sentinel white cell component, little cells with the white cells and the immunoglobulin producing all these like immune protection. And they're sentinelly strategically placed so that when you eat gluten, if gluten doesn't work for you, it'll say, we don't like that gluten. We're going to react against it. Or if you eat something that has a chemical, it'll try to absorb that chemical. Or if you take a salmonella gets into you, or E. coli, or COVID-19, it'll look at it and say, all right, let's mount an immune response. So they found that with the pigs, the test pigs, that there was a dramatic improvement in the Peyer's, that lymphatic. See, 60% of the lymph in your body is in those Peyer's patches in the small intestine. You know,
people don't know that. That's why this is so important for them to learn from you, Dr. Ingram.
Yeah. And then the other thing, that the intestines became pink and healthy, but in the controls, they were sickly with germs. So if nothing else, the oregano is killing the bad guys, and that it lets the good guys flourish. Now, if you want, there are other studies that show 2% decline if you take a lot of oregano. You can take a probiotic if you like. You don't have to, but you can do it.
Okay, so a couple of questions. Where do you get your wild oregano? Is this from Turkey? I think
Yes,
I read that somewhere.
Yes, the best is in the Turkish mountains, and because the thing is, there's a huge mountain ranges there. So then you can rely on the people there to pick you the wild oregano, which now is in only 1 or 2 products because the industry has converted itself to farm raised. All the private label, the Whole Foods type product, you know, the different private labels are using farm raised material. It's convenient for the producer. It's not my idea. I want everybody on wild. And in Greece, they're making farm raised and they're cloning it. You know what? I got an email. No, this was before email, 1998. I got an overnight package from a pharmaceutical company. They were doing research in the East Coast. They asked me to promote their product. They said they patented oregano by injecting the stalks with Pseudomonas aeruginosa to force the active ingredient to go crazy.
Mm.
And that was genetically engineered, and they were so proud that they had the patent. You can look it up online. So I really wouldn't advise people just to listen to this show and just buy anything. They should be sure. Like in Greece right now, they're doing 86% carvacrol, and they're wooing the public into these high carvacrol. Carvacrol is one of 30 active ingredients. They're wooing the public erroneously. 86% is not found in nature. They only can make that if they alter the clone. So I'm trying to figure this out for you.
but here's the deal. Then what is the brand that people should be buying that's the real deal?
I tell you, the only one I know that's doing the due diligence with the villagers, 260 village communities, to pick this stuff on the rocks, is the North American P73. If I could give you some, I think there will be others. Maybe if we do a repeat show, I'll find them all. But we know for sure they started the industry, they've done the research, they did the Georgetown work, they did the antiviral research work that I told you about. So the P73 is always wild. If we find you some other ones, we'll list them out.
What else besides oregano should we be using?
Well, before we go there, one thing I wanted to is if you see carvacrol levels, just so you know, in nature, they never go above 85. So be happy if your carvacrol is between 60 and 80. And don't buy anything with 90%. That's coming out of China, and it's synthetic. Now that we've got the oregano worked out, what about the power of the bay leaf? Did you know that bay leaf kills just every germ that you tested against? We did that in Georgetown University.
Wow.
Why do we only use one bay leaf in our pizza, our spaghetti? Oh, God. I mean, we should be using those bay leaves in stew and any kind of stir fry. It's grind them up and figure out something to use them for, right? And it's a component of that spray I told you about.
What is the name of the spray?
It's called Orega spray. Bay leaf, oregano, clove bud. It's fantastic. You can dilute that 100 to 1 and it's still active, but 10 dilutions is fine. Or you could take the bottle, dump the bottle in a big spray bottle, add 10 times the water, and you still have an active component.
So tell me again what it kills. It should be used in the environment.
Oh yeah, you got to use it in your environment, your house, your car, your hands, your stores, the people concerned there. And it's bay leaf, emulsified, it's all micellized oregano, bay leaf, clove bud, and lavender.
So it's very palatable, in other words.
Yeah, and in the nurses study we did in 2020, the practitioner used it as a throat spray for these kind of stubborn nurses and physical therapists that, that oregano oil is too hot, so they sprayed their faces, their chest, their gear, their masks, and they're currently now having 50 nurse practitioners and physical therapists that they're protecting. Not a one of them has gotten sick because they're using that material to inject onto their masks and their PPE devices.
Wow.
So you use the PPE and the masks to fumigate ourselves. We've got the screen, spray the screen and spray your mask so that you're using it as a dispenser of medicine. How valuable that would be. I've got about 4 hospitals doing it right now.
Wow, how valuable that is, and all hospitals should be knowing about this. But this is important not just for COVID-19, but for anything that may be coming our way.
Well, this is the problem we have, is that we don't know. We had H1N1, then this. This has been hard to manage, but what if some kind of a virulent bird flu, it's 60% fatal, and there's no way our society, we couldn't do anything. We'd have to know this knowledge to save our own lives.
Yes. And
then what about the different E. coli, the salmonella? You could use the same thing. You could use that spray to clean up your meat blocks, to put a little bit.
Oh, wait a minute. I didn't even think of that, to clean up the meat blocks. So it should be used in the kitchen.
Oh, and you dilute that. You take your bigger bottle and you put 1 bottle in 10 of water, and you use that on your surfaces. And you don't even need to add any soap, because soap you have to rinse off because there's chemicals in the soap. Right?
Yeah, but I love that. I'm taking copious notes. So we need the P73, and tell us what that is again so that people don't forget.
P73 stands for phenolic power, wild phenolic power of 73 to 80% carvacrol, and that's the North American urban spice people. They started God bless them, they started the whole industry. And so that's the same people who make the Oregano spray. And if you know what, let's make it easy for your people. If you just had the spray and the oil, you really wouldn't need much else.
Yeah.
Because
No,
the spray you can use for your vegetables. Some
okay.
people are going and using Clorox wipes. Oh God, no.
Okay, so wait a minute, wait. You've hit on something. So to purify fruits and vegetables and what even meats, would you use the spray?
Yeah, I would use the oregano oil, which has a little bit better flavor for the meats and meat sauce and stir fry. Just a few drops. Don't put too much; it'll overpower. Like if you're going to do pizza or spaghetti, just 2 to 5 drops is plenty. If you're going to roast a chicken, just 5 or 10 drops in your hand and just spread it all over the chicken's flesh or the skin and roast it that way. It'll tenderize the chicken, by the way. But if you're going to use the spray, that's going to be a dilution. So that's why I was telling you, if you buy a spray or whatever, you dilute that down and you just mist your vegetables. It'll give you a nice piquant flavor. Or you could use it as a soak, right? You take the material, you put a teaspoon or half a teaspoon and soak everything for a while. Everything's dead. I don't care what there was in there, which is good because if you don't wash your vegetables, big cause of parasites.
Yes,
Food
yes,
poisoning
yes.
too.
Yes. Something I know intimately well. So you're just talking about misting. So you get your fruits and vegetables, you wash them, or your proteins, you wash them, and then just mist with the oregano spray.
That's what you do. Use the dilution. Don't waste it full strength for the misting on vegetables. Use your dilution in your home. You save your full strength if you have to spray the air of a hospital or you're a practitioner, and Louise Gittleman. So you spray your office a little bit, protect everybody. Spray a bit in your car, fumigate your car. Spray a little on your hands, 100% sterility there. Without this toxic effect, I feel so sad for the people who are always wearing a mask, always using hand sanitizer, scared, skittish, hiding in their little box, and their whole lives. I just don't know. And the effect this has on our children when we're not dealing with the issue. We're dealing with the sepsis. We're dealing with the industrial farms. Look at the slaughterhouses.
I know.
Why are the hot sites a slaughterhouse? Why did it start largely in a pig market in China? Why did the hog farmers or the hog handlers in China get really sick? Are we dealing more with a food, a sepsis, a poisoning, than something that you have to take a child and put a 3-year-old mask on, or wear a mask when you're on a motorcycle? Or
I know it. I know. There's such an overreach with all this. So you talk about oregano, wild oregano. You talk to me about bay leaves. Now there's something else that you mentioned off cinnamon, but then I need you to go into black seed. So don't forget that.
Oh yeah, black seed. Cinnamon and clove. We have them in our cupboard. We should be using a lot of those in our drinks, beverages, coffee. If you're drinking, coffee is a bit acidic. Alcohol is going to be acidic. Things that are acidic, sugar are going to, flu shots, anything that kind of makes the body full of acid and is going to increase your risks. So don't go for the flu shot. 60% of Americans already say no. So I'm just reminding you. But back to this, the cinnamon and cloves are just the most aromatic, wonderful baking, ice cream, dust everything with them. And we use them as antiseptics in formulas, like this Oregaresp is a cinnamon-based, this Oregano spray is clove as well. But they're in your cupboard and you could be just using them and absolutely protecting yourself. They're germicides.
Yes, people don't realize that.
Yeah, they used to use them in shipping when the containers came over back in 1700s. When the galleons came, they would take the stupid meat and whatever they had, vegetables, and they would stuff it full of cinnamon and cloves so they could keep it on the ship for 90 days.
Interesting.
Yeah, that's why they fought over that. Okay, now black seed.
Yes,
black seed is like a backup for the lungs. It's
black seed is a backup for the lungs. That's a powerful statement.
Yeah, there's 8 human studies I mean, I'm talking about hardcore studies. There's dozens others where it shows efficacy for asthma.
Wow.
Black seed was this Nigella sativa, which is this black colored seed that ripens on the buttercup flower over there. And they press that oil out to make black seed oil, also the seed. But anyway, so it's a bronchodilator. It has the thymoquinone substance. It's not just for omega-3s or anything. It goes to the brain and acts on the brain metabolic center for the lungs. It protects the lungs from cytokine storm and from collapsing. So if we took our oregano oil extract and we maybe used a spray around a house and then used the black seed, we're protected from whatever, from as far as lung goes. You get a secondary benefit. Black seed oil is your #1 substance for working on the cardiac centers in the brainstem for the heart. So the protect against heart attacks and stroke. Can you imagine that? And you have it in the Bible. You have the Prophet Muhammad. And let me tell you something about that. He said that black seed oil is good for everything but death. Here's what I've discovered. Yeah. Black seed is good if you take it every day for prevention of disease syndromes.
So how do you take it, pray tell?
Well, it would be in capsule how I do it, 3 capsules twice a day. The capsules have fennel, cumin, rosemary, oregano, and 90% black seed. I love those as a synergy, or I swallow the oil. I have some oil at my bedpost, and then every night I swallow a tablespoon just for that cardiac protection. You know, most heart attacks occur at 6 a.m. And
well, now everybody knows 6 a.m.
Yeah.
So you do it before you go to bed, so that you're covered when you wake up.
This is it. So that you're at night, you don't. You know, there was a study done with black seed oil with artificial heart attacks in animals. You know, you can tie off a coronary and induce a necrosis. So then there's necrosis in scar tissue. The black seed oil caused the body to eat the scar tissue and repair the necrotic cardiac infarct.
Wow.
We didn't know about this for the last 100 years. We have this epidemic of heart disease. So my best one is black seed oil cardio plus. It has pomegranate, muscadine, and black seed. That's my #1 cardiac, and my #1 convenience is the capsules. But my point is that, for 30 years, I have used black seed oil for hypertension.
That's a good one, hypertension. And you know what else people are using it for? Hashimoto's.
I believe that. It's a definite anti-inflammatory and immune balancer.
It's an anti-parasitic. Now, is this related to cumin by any chance?
Not at all, actually. So cumin has its own medicinal properties. Maybe we can address someday, but the black seed oil is its own separate wildflower family.
Interesting. There's a lot of misinformation on the web. Thank you for
there
that.
is. We should think of it as Nigella sativa and then black seed.
I love that.
The thing you mentioned about autoimmune, I would say it, along with the oregano, those two are all you need for the fibro, for the Hashimoto's, for the thyroiditis, for the lupus. If people just knew.
If they just knew. How does it taste, P.S.?
Oh, it's strong. I can handle the oregano better than the black seed.
Okay.
That's why I really kind of take the capsules or the pomegranate infused material. It's a little more pleasant for me, but I'll put that pomegranate oregano or the pomegranate muscadine black seed. I'll put that on a salad. It's pretty pleasant. Yeah.
Interesting. But you just said something to me which made me think. So if black seed oil is good for scar tissue, can this go after adhesions?
It would do in the intestinal system. And like you said, it's an anti-parasitic at the same time. But yeah, adhesions inside would be, but I'd use the oregano. There was a study, I would use them both. There was a study in the liver. The liver was necrotic. The liver had scar tissue because they hit it with a toxic chemical. They wanted to see if the oregano would help. Well, the oregano brought the liver enzymes to normal. It raised the toxic chemical treatment, caused the animals to have very low glutathione, extremely low SOD. Well, it brought those up to normal. And then it went in, how it did this, it went in, the carbochol and all these chemicals, the terpenes, and the scar tissue was reversed. There was no more histological scarring at all.
Mm. But if it does this to the liver, could it do this to other areas of the
I would
body?
say if you combine black seed oil with the oregano for scar tissue. Now, here's a case history. Black seed oil was Nefertiti's beauty secret. Talk about aging and scarring and so forth. Cleopatra's beauty secret. They
No
traced
kidding.
it. Now, I had a woman who read it in my book, the Black Seed Miracle. So she
Oh,
she
you
she
have a
then,
book. You have a book called The Black Seed Miracle.
yeah, the cure in the cupboard on the oregano, the Black Seed Miracle. So we'll get you a cup. But so anyway, the woman kept slathering the black seed oil on her face. She
Mm.
sent me the before picture because she's a patient. And after 30 days, she peeled off an entire layer of epithelial tissue. She peeled off her face.
Wow.
She looked 20 years younger.
So it's a natural peel, a natural face
Yes,
peel.
so I just, I got to research it more. But for alopecia, hair loss, skin disorders, dermatitis, eczema, and psoriasis, historically, black seed.
Now, are any of these? I have one last question for you, because this is jam packed for people, and we have to tell them where to get these products at the end so that they get the right brand of these products, because so many of them are synthetic or farm raised. So
Yeah.
the question is, are any of these actually mentioned in the Bible? That I always wondered about oregano. Is that actually mentioned in?
Oh boy, does the Old Testament try to guide the human race. So it says that you should take that Esoph, which is the Hebrew, just because it's hyssop is wrong. Take that Esoph, that you'll be purified, you'll be clean, as white as snow. Now, how much snow is there in the Sinai anyway?
Not
And
much.
clear, so only one herb is mentioned specifically for disease syndromes, and that's the oregano.
So there's no mention of hyssop. It's actually oregano. That's a mistranslation.
Mistranslation. The two Jewish scholars went to the Sinai and they said, "Hey, we can't find any hyssop." Esoph is derived from Aesop in Greek. Look, all we're finding is wild oregano. They published that in the 1970s. Nobody paid any attention. Now, here's the next thing. Big one. The Bible says, I'm not the biblical expert, you guys are out there. It says, look, if you've got pillars in your house, before you enter, slap them down with the oregano sprig. Now, if you know anything about oregano, like what Flesher and his group wrote in Economic Botany, the oregano is loaded with oil glands, just loaded. So if you slap that sprig when it's dried, it'll burst the oil glands. And it says to slap around inside your house and then close the door. That's a fumigation method, people.
That's kind of mold remediation.
Exactly. And also pandemics. We don't know what they had. Some entire cities would go down back in that time. So, and this is what the message is now. If you use the oregano-based fumigation in your home, I don't care if you put the oregano oil on a candle, I don't care what you do. You diffuse it, you use the spray, which is ready.
That's an idea.
You're not going to get anything. Forget it. Your house is clean.
So to conclude, because you've given us a lot of food for thought, literally and figuratively, then give me the brand that people have to look for. Give me brand names specifically, because that makes a lot of difference, particularly in this case.
They need to go to oreganol.com to view the oil of oregano super strength is my favorite. The other that we tested in the study was Oregaresp, and we mentioned oregano cream. It's there. They used it. And then the Orega spray. Those are, and we also used the hydrosol, which is the oregano juice. In the really tough cases in the nurses study, they drank that hydrosol, which comes off the different distillation condensation device, the oil in one drum, the hydrosol in the other. And when you go to the mountains in Turkey and Greece or Lebanon and you talk to the village guys, they say, well, why do you want the oil? We drink, and they show you a bottle of this hydrosol. So that's all we did. There's black seed oil to look at. Obviously, your mom and pa health food store is a fantastic fan of my work. So there you have it.
Okay. The brand name again is North American
Herb and Spice, oil of wild oregano, and also black seed oil cardio plus and black seed gel caps. That's what I personally take. Everything I told you, I use.
And
And I know it's wild, and I also know it's Turkish in source, which seems to be the best quality.
very excellent. So Dr. Dr. Cass Ingram, give me the name of your latest book. Give me the name of your 3 top-selling books so people can find you.
All right. The Cure is in the Cupboard, The Doctor's Guide to Oil of Wild Oregano, and The Black Seed Miracle. And I hope one day we can talk about my new Natural Cures for Autism book.
We're going to do that in a couple of weeks. You've given us a lot of food for thought. So I want to thank you prolifically, profusely for illuminating all of us on the cures in the cupboard. And there are quite a few of them, ladies and gentlemen. So I want to thank you again and tell you that this is Louise Gittleman saying thank you to Dr. Cass Ingram for another wonderful episode of First Lady of Nutrition podcast. We will be in touch with you very soon. Be well, be healthy, and keep safe.